Good morning, good afternoon to every one of you who is participating at this moment for this live video, or you will be watching this recorded version in future. Thank you for being with us. In the last few sessions, we have talked about one single subject of environmental contamination. This beautiful planet we have, the only home that we have, is under major threat based on the toxicity that has been created by the human activity, especially since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. We talked previously about xenobiotics, the chemical compounds which are not naturally produced or expected to present within the biology of the planet, including everything which is alive as well as the human health. We talked about environmental pollutants, the man-made chemicals like polychlorinated phenols like PCBs, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, dioxins, heavy metals, pesticides and herbicides. We talked about food additives. You remember the 320 numbers that we went through, including coloring and other stuff to it. We talked about consumer product chemicals such as bisphenol A. You remember the chemical coating on the printed paper of the receipt when you use your credit card, when you do shopping, and how disruptive these chemicals are when they enter our body to our hormone system. They are plastic derived chemicals. Anyways, we talked about animal farming and the hormones and antibiotics and a lot of other stuff which are used for animal husbandry. We talk about genetically modified food and their impact on our, not just the human body and health in future, but also the impact on the general environment of planet Earth. We talked about smog and air pollutants. Today, our topic is about pharmaceutical contamination, xenoestrogens, psychiatric medications which are used by the people, antibiotics, analgesic, cardiovascular medications, as well as lipid-altering drugs, such as lipid-controlling medications. Before we start, I should mention that the positive effects of pharmaceuticals on human evolution are enormous and multifaceted. They played a crucial role, of course, in improving the quality of life, expanding the life's quality and expectancy, and controlling disease outbreaks in human societies. Pharmaceuticals have contributed to the development of innovative treatments for ailments which were previously untreatable, revolutionizing countless lives for the better. The evolution of pharmaceuticals from ancient herbal remedies to modern biopharmaceuticals reflect the humanity's relentless pursuit for better health outcomes. In the last century or so, however, especially within the last few decades, the global population has expanded rapidly with a significant growth rate, which accompanied by expansion of urban, industrial, and agricultural sectors. This growth has increased human impacts on the environment, especially concerning its overexploitations and contaminations, which threatens ecosystem as well as the public health. Many contaminants such as plastic, drugs, heavy metals, pesticides, and even radioactive substances are being introduced daily into various environmental compartments, particularly in the water resources. Among these emerging contaminants, estrogen-type compounds have drawn the specific attention to the scientific community due to their endocrine disrupting effects. Endocrines are the hormone system of biology. Even though pharmaceuticals in general have played a crucial role in maintaining human and animal health, enhancing food production, driving economic prosperity. However, they release into the environment, whether during manufacturing, use, or end life. This has posed significant risks to the well-being of our planet. These risks include contributing to antimicrobial resistance, endocrine disruption, and toxic effects on ecosystem and public health. There is a video online you can watch under the name of the hidden pollution behind your pills. It's a short video but very informative. Active pharmaceutical ingredients are biologically active material in pharmaceutical products. There is about 4,000 of these chemicals administered worldwide in prescription medications, over-the-counter drugs, and veterinary medicine. More than 4,000 of them are being used. However, pharmaceutical residues are released into rivers, lakes, and groundwater aquifers. In addition, when applied in animal husbandry, where manure is used as fertilizer, veterinary pharmaceuticals are released into the soil and water a lot faster than what you could imagine. This results in both soil contamination and biomagnification through uptake of pharmaceuticals into the food crops. Sources of the release of pharmaceuticals into the environment include direct emission from drug manufacturing, patient and animal excretion, aqua farming, and disposal of unused or expired medications. In 2016, a global literature review of studies that measured environmental concentration of environmentally persistent pharmaceutical pollutants, including antibiotic, analgesic, cardiovascular, and lipid regulating agents, as well as estrogen compounds and others, detected a total of 631 different pharmaceuticals or their transformation products in the environment of 71 countries. Those studies were evaluated back in 2016. This list of countries and pharmaceuticals reported around the world continued increasing in the following years. An update of the database in 2020, only 4 years later, evidence up to 89 countries with reports of the persistent pharmaceuticals in their environment. So from 71 has increased to 89 countries' environments. Pharmaceutical residues released into the environment can cause direct and indirect effects on organism and ecosystem, including toxicity, endocrine disruption, alteration of microbial communities, and the selection of antimicrobial resistance. We'll explore these ideas a little bit in details a few minutes later. While impacts on aquatic organisms are the most studied, severe consequences have also been documented in terrestrial species, such as mass vulture die-offs linked to diclofenac, which is a medication used to control inflammation, and indirect disruption of key ecological functions. For humans, environmental exposure occurs mainly through water and food, with risks still poorly understood through indirect effect arising from ecosystem degradation and the spread of antimicrobial resistance. Environmentally persistent pharmaceutical pollutants are the chemicals especially designed to be slowly degradable or even non-degradable. They cannot be broken down or not being changed by passing through the body of the animals and human. They are to resist chemical degradation. Therefore, they have become a special risks in kind of environmental disturbance affecting the microbes and everything else that could ever exist in the environment around them. These persistent pharmaceutical pollutants were nominated as an emerging policy issue under the strategic approach in international chemical management back in 2015. So finally, the authorities are paying more attention to these issues. Awareness and understanding campaigns were generated among the stakeholders and others to let them know what is happening so that they could take an action. This resulted in coordinated approach to provide consistent and evidence-based assistance to the government sectors. There has to be force behind it, a regulation that could control this kind of serious contaminations, which is a threat to everything that could ever exist on this beautiful planet. Now let's talk about estrogen and emerging contaminants in water. The widespread presence of estrogen in aquatic environment presents a one health concern as it simultaneously threatens environmental integrity, wildlife health, and human well-being altogether. These compounds, which are used in human and veterinary medicine, are excreted in urine and feces in partially or unmetabolized form and persist in the environment due to the inefficiency of conventional water treatment system in removing them. So the sewage system, which is supposed to clean up the waste, is incapable of removing most of these metabolites of medications and drugs, so they constantly recycle within the environment. Next time you want to pick a fruit from a tree which has been watered outside, you have to have a second thought if you should do that or not. Estrogen entered the ecosystem directly through industrial, urban, or agricultural effluents, or indirectly via effluent discharge from conventional wastewater treatment plants that are currently ineffective, as I said, in fully removing these compounds. Endocrine disrupting substances are exogenous molecules that interfere with the endocrine system and can cause adverse effect on organisms, their offspring, and of course the entire population. These substances are known to disrupt hormonal balances by either antagonizing natural endocrine hormones, acting against them, mimicking their effects, overstimulating receptors, or altering receptor synthesis, like downward regulation or upward regulation, they change. So the hormone system will change in the body, leading to a variety of harmful interactions with endogenous hormones. Now, the fact is that when these excessive hormones enter the body, they act as natural hormones inside our body because of their chemical or, let's say, physical configuration, molecular configuration. They fit within the receptors and they start stimulating the cells in a way which is completely not appropriate because it was not produced by the biology of the body. Environmental pollutants such as endocrine disrupting chemicals, also known as xenoestrogen, can simultaneously impact ecosystem, wildlife, and human population, making them a central concern within the One Health context. Xenoestrogens are compounds, synthetic or natural chemicals that mimic estrogen, the hormone that regulates reproductive development, bone density, and numerous other biological processes. By the way, these hormones, including estrogen and progesterone or testosterone type hormones, exist in the body of both male and female. If we male or you female, just based on what our gender is, doesn't mean that we are exceptional from the fact of these hormones. We produce these in our body, all of them at the same time, with various concentration, of course. These xenoestrogen chemicals are found in plastic, pesticides, cosmetics, food packaging, and even some plant-based food. Let's say genetically modified soya. If you remember from last talks, About more than 90% of all the soy products in the world are genetically modified. And these genetic modified items at the cellular level, they don't look natural to our cells. So the body, even though looks at them as hormones, but they cannot respond properly. They're not to create balance in us. So these xenoestrogen molecules can affect the body by their ability to bind to estrogen receptors, which are found in every cell, the cell membranes, or even inside the cells, like other organs inside the cell, they all may have receptors of estrogens. Now, let's talk about psychiatric medications, which are becoming more and more in use by many people because they don't feel happy, they don't feel relaxed, they don't feel balanced, they can't sleep, and so on. The powerful psychoactive substances are accumulating in our waterways, soil, and even drinking water, potentially affecting ecosystem in ways scientists are just beginning to understand. These drugs, designed to alter brain chemistry in humans, are now making their ways into aquatic environments where they can affect fish, plants, and microorganisms in surprising ways. From constipated fish, can you imagine, exposed to psychiatrics, or crickets, or even fish experiencing behavioral changes due to exposure to antidepressant biochemicals in the environment. The ecological impacts are both real and very concerning. The human excretion happens when people take these medications, their body do not fully break them down. So the remaining is passed through the urine and feces. Due to incomplete metabolism in the human body, most antidepressants are ultimately excreted either in form of the partial compounds or active metabolites, as I said, through the urine and feces. The growing use of antidepressants has led to continuous discharge of these biochemicals into the aquatic environment, and as a result, antidepressants have been increasingly detected in surface water across the globe with various concentrations, which makes antidepressant a class of pseudo-persistent contaminants of emerging concern. Now, let's talk about antibiotics. Antibiotics have long been a mainstay of modern medicine to control microbial infections. These are compounds made by the microbes to destroy other microbes. The use of antibiotics in various sectors like human health, hygiene, agriculture, poultry, animal husbandry, fishery, etc., is on a constant rise. Interestingly, though, statistics show that consumption of antibiotics in animal husbandry is much higher than human medicine. Additionally, antibiotics are used for growth promotion in animal food. The recent reports have estimated the amount of antibiotic consumed worldwide in 2018 showed about 46% increase since the year 2000. Discovery of antibiotics started to prevent mass mortality or disease outbreaks and treat infectious diseases, which were held as miraculous drugs, and there still are. It started in 1928 when penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming. Neo-antibiotics initiated golden age of antibiotic discovery from 1940s to 1960s. However, in 1940, it was reported that the strain of bacteria called Escherichia coli, they were able to inactivate penicillin by producing an enzyme called pelistalinase. In 1942, it was reported in hospitalized patients that other strands of microbes called Staphylococcus aureus were found to resist penicillin action. In an attempt to address this issue of antibiotic resistance, the pharmaceutical industry launched a large number of new antibiotics in the late 1960s and 1980s. As discovering or developing newer and more effective antibiotic against pathogenic bacteria strains was in full flow, so was the bacterial evolution or acquiring the resistance or let's say unresponsiveness against these antibiotics. You see, when a bacteria which is an active and live organism is attacked like everything else, they start to protect themselves by changing their shape, by going through certain mutations, by hiding inside other cells or tissues which cannot be affected by the antibiotic in the environment, and many other ways. So constantly new strands of strange bacteria could happen when the body is treated with repeated antibiotics. And this is a major problem that the medical community is facing for a long time now. This is a phenomenon which is called microbial resistance against antibiotics, and it is also called antibiotic resistance or antimicrobial resistance. This is, of course, a major threat to the health of the human and its future survival. The widespread use of antibiotics to contain microbial infection, coupled with inadequate treatment of waste containing non-metabolized antibiotics and their residues, is resulting in rising environmental antibiotic concentration, leading to antibiotic pollution. Now, this is becoming, as I said, a major global challenge, as it is providing major drive for antibiotic or antimicrobial resistance, with escalating ramification worldwide, now bringing a surge in human morbidity. Nevertheless, antibiotics for decades hailed as the most effective solution, not only for combating pathogenic infections in human, but also in animal husbandry and allied agricultural sectors. Another problem that we face is improper uses of unused or expired medications. Some people throw them down the toilet, directly introducing concentrated pharmaceutical into the waterways streams, or pharmaceutical discharge. Sometimes the pharmaceutical companies may dump contaminated water in the environment. Some studies prove that they have picked up a lot of untreated medication in the water stream close to the pharmaceutical factories. Now, what to do with that? The fact is that medicine is really important. We cannot survive with medicine which is supposed to prevent diseases or treat diseases in us. The problem is that nowadays medicine is being overused. And as you just looked at the statistics, the undigested medicine compounds in our body or the body of the animal spreads around into the environment. In the case of psychiatric medication, they affect the behavior of organisms around, including fish or birds or other stuff, or excessive use of antibiotics, which affects the human health by promoting the overgrowth of resistance bacteria which do not respond to any known antibiotic therapy. So it means infections without any cure. Or hormone compounds, when they enter our body, they act as hormone in us. They say, statistics shows that in a man of today, the amount of estrogen compound trapped in the body of a 50-year-old male could be way more than the total testosterone that his body is producing. Think about the number of the infertility cases all around the world, not just among the human population, but also within the animals. The Canadian scientists run a study over the fish, and they realized that because of estrogenic contamination of the water, fish male can no longer fertilize the eggs of the fish female as easily as before. In human population, again, statistics shows that the number of the sperm counts are less than 50% on average population in comparison to what it used to be about 50 years ago. These are the truth. The problem is that This material world is, of course, based on matter. In a material world, you need to safeguard yourself and overcome your fear of lack of safety and security, which are important factors of basic instinct, like eating, shelter, reproduction. Safety and securities are important. In order for us to be safe and secure, automatically people start to collect more wealth. But they get carried away. In most of the cases, they don't stop appreciating what they have. They don't feel, okay, this is good enough for me. I'm okay now. Let me just contribute back to my society more. The more they collect, the more addicted they become. So as we can see in the case of big companies, the owners of the industry, they become disrespectful to keeping the balance within the environment. They dump the garbage out because what is important for them mostly is the profit, unless government regulations will confine them if they are implemented correctly or established correctly. Unfortunately, now, because of the more awareness among the people of the world, the governments are becoming more responsible to the societies are doing something about it. If you remember, in the case of plastic, we talked about the Eastern Garbage Patch, an area about 1.6 million square kilometers of plastic fibers floating on the ocean water in the North Pacific area. You see, individually, we may think, okay, I'm just one person, what can I do? But as of one person, you have access to all the power of the creation. In the true sense, even though you are just one single person, you are everything, like a drop of the ocean. In the material world, you can look at the drop of the ocean, you see one drop from the ocean. The truth is that all the information of the ocean is within that single drop. Like if they take one single cell from your body, it doesn't matter, it is from your liver, fat, skin, nerve, muscle, which all look completely different. They could clone your entire body, meaning that the entire information of the system exists in every pixel of that. That's the fractal secret of the creation. Information is everywhere. So a drop of the ocean, even though it may seem like one drop, it contains the information of the ocean. So do you. So you as an individual, the moment you decide to be more responsible for your own action, creating a better balance with anything you think, you do, you act upon, creating better balance within your environment, starting within yourself, you, my friend, can change the world. Because if you change, your environment will change, and the universal reaction will be in the benefit of that change, the positive change. You start to illuminate, because health is the state of balance. And if you believe in the higher forces of creation, whether God or anything else in your mind, its intention was to allow life to thrive on this planet so that this life could expand to higher and more complicated organism, creating a human, and from that human could reach to a level of understanding that turns into the God itself. This potential exists in all of us. So be responsible for your action. Put the fear and panic aside. Every moment that we start doing something new, the whole world will respond to us. And this time, because it is based on consciousness and awareness and the right choice, the right forces of the universe will become in your hand to help you to achieve your goals a lot easier and faster. So this exchange of information is not about creation of fear, but to create awareness. If you like these videos, please share it to the ones who may be interested in it. If you have any questions or comment, you're most welcome to send me a message. I'll do my best to answer them as much as possible. In the next video, we'll talk about cosmetics, the contamination in the cosmetics, how they could pollute our body, disturb our balance, or our environment as well. If we get a chance, we'll talk about the cookwares that are available to us and which one may be better, which one we should avoid, and what could be the effect, the detrimental effect of the wrong cookwares in our food. So I'm going to say goodbye to you now, and hope you enjoyed this little presentation, and I hope to see you next week here again. Until then.